All right, Timipre, how much does the Bayelsa State government generate monthly?
Like I mentioned before, currently we're at a range of 9,801 billion. That is the rate we are.
And even adding to that,
yes.
Like I've always said that this 900 million, 1 billion monthly, on the average, is where we are at the moment. Yes. But I think beyond our target is not that amount. Yes. But like we said, there are things that have been put in place for all of this to be boosted very, very maximally. Particularly key is this transparency of a thing that we are enjoying in Bayelsa State. Like I said, the average Nigerian doesn't have a good culture of tax paying. But when you are transparent with him, he knows what you're doing with how much you're collecting. There's accountability in the government. He's more willing to pay. And then beyond all of that, like in 2009, when the Federal Executive Council and the National Economic Council approved the Taxpayer Identification Number project, most other states keyed into this project, but Bayelsa had not keyed in because there are immense benefits derivable from that project, because the idea was for the federal government, Federal Inland Revenue Service, and all the state tax authorities to be on the same platform so that they can share information, whereby benefits from different other areas of taxation can be derived at your state level. This government, is that something the governor graciously, personally flagged up that project in Bayelsa in this administration, and the benefits are enormous. People are coming to register. The tax base is being increased. IGR is being boosted. And I think between now and then, the laws, the legal framework is being put in place.
I was just going to ask you about the fact that are there laws guiding the operation of the Internal Revenue Board?
Yes, because every tax system must operate within the laws of the land. And that is why at every point, the laws there are reforms always, because as times are evolving, the laws also have to be changed to meet with the present trends. Like in Bayelsa, for instance, several laws, like before this time, we're talking about harmonization. Laws were in place, and the laws probably establishing some of these agencies empowered some of them to generate these monies and spend same.
Okay,
but now, amendments are coming into some of these laws, so that to enable us centralize, that is the focus of government, that is the spirit of this administration, to centralize collection. For us to do that, we need to amend some of the laws, also introduce a few new laws to capture certain other areas that were before this time not captured. So at the end of the day, 3.5 billion, 4 billion monthly, and the ultimate aim is for us to begin to meet our overheads and salaries from IGR, so that government revenue from the federal government, allocation from federal, can be used solely for development projects in the state.
Timipre was going to say something before you had to continue
on
this issue.
I think on the revenue laws issue we're talking about, one thing we understand, especially in the Nigerian situation, is that most of the tax laws are based on federal legislations, you see. And so it gives a bit, puts states in a very difficult position. If you look at the VAT law, if you look at the company income tax law, if you look at the personal income tax law, all these are federal laws. So it actually gives some limitation to states in how to expand their tax base. However, as a state, we have looked at the opportunities that are still available, and we are coming up with new legislations. We have looked at some existing ones to amend them with, in line with new realities, and we're also coming up with new legislations, especially on the tourism, like this tourism where we are now trying to bring investors and all of that into the state. So we should have legislations that will say, okay, when they come, these people that are coming should also be sources of revenue to the state. However, the state is very much aware of the fact that while we are also making these tax legislations, we do not get to the negative side. So that you do them in such a way that while the state is generating revenue, it does not become a disincentive for investors to come into the state. So there are legislations we are passing. I think we've done a lot of work on them. The ESCO, the Executive Council has discussed most of them, and within a very short time, quite a number of legislations will come up.
Now, talking about incentives, what incentives in terms of taxation now would you want to offer investors who are looking forward to coming into Bayelsa to do business?
But the key incentive that you can give to any investor now is the peaceful environment, the secured environment where you can be sure that your investments are secured. Before this time, of course, militancy and other problems, who would have wanted to come. But you know, like even before this administration, so many businesses have left Bayelsa. So many people left Bayelsa, but they are all returning to the state because of the peace and the security situation of the state now. And the activities are booming, companies are coming back, commercial activities, economic, everything is booming around the state. That is why we are attracting the world even more. So the first incentive is the security that they enjoy. But beyond that, when they come on board, as they come to invest, I know that ordinarily, like you mentioned, under the Taxes and Levies Collectible Acts, 1998, federal government, state government, and the local government areas, the three tiers have areas of jurisdiction, taxes they can collect. So when companies come, like most company income tax is by the federal government. States do not collect that. So we can't give an incentive in an area covered by the federal government. But beyond that, we can create the environment and give support for them to thrive in the state.
Now, let me come to Timipre. Are there specific areas that would be more taxed than others in terms of, you know, whether you're in the oil and gas sector here in Bayelsa, which is about the mainstay here, whatever sector you are, what are those level of taxation that you have put in place here in the state?
When we look at the tax profile of the state, which is about the same in almost every big state, even Lagos State, the highest proportion of taxation where we get our revenue, tax revenue, is from personal income taxes. And in the state, Bayelsa here, when we talk about personal income taxes, because we do not have a lot of companies, what we get from income taxes from workers of these other companies is quite low. Probably as we go along with these investment programs and the rest of them, as companies start coming in, then that is a window for us to improve. There's a lot of opportunities to improve that sector once companies come in.
Now, it's very interesting. I'm sorry to cut in here because the Minister for Petroleum Resources was saying yesterday that Nigeria as a whole still gets about 80% of its revenue from oil.
I'm coming to that.
And it's quite more like a contradiction that in Bayelsa we're not seeing that.
I'm coming to that. Okay. You see, so like I said, that is a company income tax, personal income tax from companies. Now, on personal income tax from workers of the state, when we came in, we were getting less than 50 million because there is a Personal Income Tax Act, which I told you, most of these laws are made by the federal government. And so what the state was not implementing that law, the Personal Income Tax Act. And so what we did was to ensure that the state applies that law to the latter. And by doing that, we're able to increase our revenue from about 50 million to over 300 million on a monthly basis, which is from the workers' aspect. Now, when we look at petroleum, the problem, like I said, in Nigerian environment is that petroleum companies pay what we call the petroleum profit tax, PPT. The PPT is a federal law, and all the revenues arising from PPT go to federal government. Now, withholding taxes and VAT, which can arise from companies operating in the petroleum industry, all are federal laws, and all those revenues go to the federal government. So you see the problem we have. Then when you even come to personal income tax relating to workers in the oil industry, up to this point, residency was defined in terms of where the company's headquarters was. And therefore, if a company operates from Lagos, like Chevron, probably their headquarters in Lagos, but the fields are in Yenagoa, all the persons that work in those fields, they pay their personal income taxes to Lagos.
So this brings to bear the issue of the laws.
The laws.
We need to tinker with it.
Though some amendment has been done to the residency clause, which has now said that where you work, where your area of operations will be taken into consideration for tax purposes. And therefore, we have seen that window. However, we still have a challenge because these companies still try to do it in such a way that, for instance, they fly somebody from Lagos to come to one of our fields in Yenagoa and then work for probably 1 week and go back. You see? So they still want those companies to pay their taxes still back to Lagos. So we have a very serious problem to track these people to ensure that these taxes are paid to Bayelsa. So the operational pattern of these companies still make it very difficult for us to track these guys to collect taxes. But these are challenges, and we are working very hard to see that we address these challenges.
All right, I'm afraid that will be all we can take from both of you. Okay. Thank you. Then talking to Timipre Seipulou. He is the Special Advisor on Treasury Account and Revenue here in Bayelsa. Also, we've been talking to Amadou Boha Owe, is the Senior Special Assistant on Internally Generated Revenue. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're watching Business Morning, coming to you live from Yenagoa, the Bayelsa State capital, where the first Economic and Investment Forum has been going on, and we've been tracking development for you here from the Glory of All Lands, as it is called. And we'll go on a break, and we'll be right back.